Hello and welcome to this special edition of Beast Live, wrapping up the year of the goat. We're glad that you've tuned into our show despite all the work you may have before the Lunar New Year. The past year has seen significant progress in Vietnam's economy, with a flurry of free trade agreements being signed or negotiated and an improved business environment. The equitization process of state-owned enterprises and the restructuring of banks has received more positive results compared to the previous period between 2006 and 2010. Together, these have helped the country enhance its competitiveness in the era of economic integration. And along with this is a healthy and growing startup community made up of people with strong entrepreneurial spirit who look to innovation for solving critical issues. And on today's program, we have invited three prominent Vietnamese young people from the homegrown startup community who will share with us their business stories in 2015 and plans for the coming year. Phạm Quốc Đạt, Director of Hatch, a Hanoi-based startup incubator. Phạm Quang Huy, General Manager of L.O.V.E Hanoi, a social food sharing app. And Hoàng Minh Nhật, owner of Bánh mì Minh Nhật, a Vietnamese food chain. And now let's take a glimpse into their startups in the following clip. Launched in 2013, Hatch aims to connect entrepreneurs in any sector to resources so their startups have improved chances of success. In 2014, it piloted its very first incubation program to provide direct mentorship for startups in Vietnam. Its co-founder Phạm Quốc Đạt made it to Forbes 30 Under 30 list this year. Founded in early 2014, L.O.V.E has gained popularity as a food searching app with a colossal number of eateries. The app allows its users to upload and share their photos and opinions with their like-minded. After winning MasterChef Season 2 in 2014, 24-year-old Hoàng Minh Nhật decided to use her expertise to open her own chain of Vietnamese sandwiches or bánh mì stores. The chain has captured much attention from social media and customers, putting it in the list of 2015's Forbes 30 Under 30. Well, thank you very much for taking your time to be here with us in our show today.
Thank you.
And now let's start with L.O.V.E. Last December, your startup received a 7-figure funding from Golden Gate Ventures and Design One Japan. And this is the dream of many startups. Could you share with us how you got it and what attracted these investors to your business?
L.O.V.E approached our investor actively. As you know, that the members and management team actually are college dropout. They were brave enough to sacrifice their own education just to go for L.O.V.E, and that was a really convincing reason. The app itself also attracted quite a number of young people to go for it, so they are checking the app every day. They check for food, they check for drink, they check for places. So all these combined factors together, I think, has made our deal successful.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, congratulations on being in Forbes Vietnam's 30 Under 30 list.
Oh, thank you very much.
Your first Bánh mì Minh Nhật store was opened last April, and since then, how many stores have you opened, and how has business been?
Since April until now, we have 10 stores open in most of the main district of Hanoi. So the business has been going very well, and I see that by opening the first bánh mì chain, by elevating the new level of Vietnamese street food, has created a new trend of the people who's really caring about Vietnamese street food, and more bánh mì chain are opening today.
And Dad, also congratulations on being included in Forbes Vietnam 30 Under 30 list. How was 2015 for Hatch? And could you tell us more about Hatch events and activities during the past year?
2015 was actually like a very interesting journey for Hatch program in general. Definitely like a significant growth from 2014. We opened our first cooking space. We worked with the IPP to implement the acceleration program with 18 companies and 3 consortiums. And then we organized Hatch Fair 2015, which was probably the biggest startup event in Vietnam.
I assume that what you and your startups have achieved is the result of your effort, not only in 2015, but also throughout previous years. Our audience may know of your achievements, but they may not be aware of the challenges that you have faced. Huy, how did you and your co-founders come up with the idea of L.O.V.E, and how hard was it to turn this idea into an app that can draw 150,000 views a day?
So our founder is Nguyễn Hoàng Trung. He was studying in Korea, and one day when he was visiting Vietnam, and he thought of, hey, I want to go out. I want to find a good food place, but I didn't know where to go. Then he thought of a product that helped people to achieve that simple purpose. So then the team, and together with other co-founders, the team started to build, to focus on building the app itself. And there was a lot of times that when we came up with prototype, there's a lot of bugs, a lot of errors, a lot of issues. And until after 2 years of fixing a product, improve the qualities, photos, and after 2 years, we are able to release the product to the public, and currently it had achieved significant traffic and as well as the number of users, which we are pretty happy now.
You should be.
Yeah.
How about you, Minh Nhật? It would appear that winning MasterChef Season 2 helped you kickstart your business, but was it really smooth and easy as that?
Yeah, it is the, advantages of starting a new business in the F&B field. But along the way has created many difficulties because the audience, the viewers, they don't understand. In the competition, I just only make few dishes in a short time. But now doing the F&B, it means that you created thousands of meals every day. The process is different, the management is different, and the way you control everything is very different. In the very beginning, I'm the only founder. I do everything on my own. I study everything. I study from the marketing to designer, to the food, to the construction of the store, every single thing.
You're a jack of all trades.
I have to do everything, so that is one of the biggest problems that one people cannot do everything. You have to have the team.
And now, Dad, could you tell us about what was difficult as well as easy about setting up and running Hatch, a startup incubator?
The concept of, like startup is new in Vietnam. The concept of startup incubator is like, hey, what the hell is that? Like, you don't really know. When we first talked about startup incubator back in 2012 and 2013, people most talk about SMEs. Mm-hmm. And SME is ultimately quite different from startup. Startup is basically SMEs, but SME when we approach a bank, SME is like a company already generates at least $1 million in revenue, and they have the system set up, the everything set up. When you start a business, you're doing something quite innovative, and you don't have that much resources that you can work with. If people don't understand you, that's the biggest problem. But I hope that with everyone sitting in here, and then we talk about startup, and maybe with perception would change.
Thế tiền như máu.
Không phải là thiếu vốn mà là vấn đề các bạn sử dụng đồng vốn có hiệu quả hay không.
Phải chứng minh được rằng là ông có thể mang lại lợi ích cho người ta.
Companies are not investing enough into their information system
because of the cyber attack.
When they can't maintain customer loyalty.
Sink or swim is probably the most frequently asked question to startups. But the dream wears off, the reality hits. According to Vietnam's Ministry of Planning and Investment, 2015 was considered a year of startups boom with a record high of 94,000 businesses established. At the same time, however, nearly 70,000 went disruption. Meanwhile, on a global scale, 9 out of 10 startups fail, according to Forbes. Experts have pointed out several main reasons for startup failures, such as wrong reasons, insufficient capitals, location, overexpansion, or lack of IT skills. Topping the list, according to experts, may be insufficient capitals or inefficient use of capitals, but there are more key factors that weigh down a business. So what are the key factors to keep a new business afloat in the waters of the entrepreneurial sea?
As a director of Hatch, you must have had a lot of opportunities to meet and to work with people in the startup community. In your opinion, what are the 3 most common challenges that startups often encounter?
there's tons of difficulties, and I think like now or in the future in 10 years there would always be difficulties with starting a company. First of all, a lot of companies have a really good products, very strong product idea, but they don't have a team. Nhật does everything, that's fantastic, but like behind every successful company there's a team which is like supporting the company, which is implementing, executing ideas. And a lot of companies in here don't have that strong team yet, and they don't focus on building a very strong team. The second problem I see is that once you have a team, then the issue is that sometimes you don't share the same vision. People have very different idea of what the company should be or what the company will go, and then ends up like conflicts inside the company. Once a conflict happens inside the company, it can cause a lot of damages to the company. The last thing I see is that since startup is so new in Vietnam, me myself personally, as I'm starting up a business, I can receive like tons of advice and tons of opinions about like, hey, this is what you should do, and then I meet someone else, they're like, hey, this is what you should do. Once you caught up in so many opinions, so many advice, you get really depressed. You are doing things that people tell you to do, but you didn't find who you are and what your business stands for.
Okay, so Huy and Nhật, do you recall facing such challenges that just mentioned?
Well, I like the first point of that when we were talking about a strong team. In our team, we have different people from different backgrounds, different set of personalities. At the end of the day, we only try to encourage everyone to look forward to the final goals of L.O.V.E. That is more important things. And sometimes people can put their egos aside so that they can have the really, I would say that, conducive discussions. And the last thing that I think would be about the products. We can have lots of ideas to build different products for different people, but at the end of the day, we want to build products that bring the values to people. L.O.V.E right now has been building an app and a website as well, but we have to keep thinking about what the customers, our user values, and how we can add more values to them, and in order to improve the user experience. In my opinion, those factors are also the common thing that startup would like to think more about. And how about you? I think you have your own insight too, right?
I think talking about difficulties is every day you can say, you can name tens or even hundreds of difficulties. But in my experience, the difficulties are there for us to pass. We have to pass the difficulties. Being on a startup, it means like you are in the middle of the river, you are on the boat. Whether you come to the next border or you die, this is the only way. So difficulties, you see it, you face it, and then you fix it. This is the only way.
Talking about these brands, people often think about their products and the identity first, instead of similar products from their competitors. Meanwhile, it seems unrealistic when talking about branding for startups, as most startups are small-scale and even very small businesses. Value proposition and products are their first priority. However, branding is important as businesses grow.
Branding là củng cố những cái giá trị cốt lõi đấy, và từ đó mới đưa ra những cái thông điệp và dùng những cái phương tiện truyền thông để mà đẩy cái thông điệp đấy đi. Hay liên tưởng đến cái nan hoa của bánh xe đạp ấy, cái giá trị cốt lõi ấy, thì luôn luôn là không đổi và nó xây dựng càng ngày càng vững chắc. Và những cái nan hoa này như là những cái kênh truyền thông và những cái thông điệp truyền thông, những cái thông điệp nó có thể khác nhau, nhưng mà vẫn phải xoay quanh cái giá trị cốt lõi của doanh nghiệp.
Many founders still often confuse the roles of branding, marketing, and PR in their business. That's why Anh Tú and his partner have founded a group of startup advisors. Here they sketch the business plans, oriented customers, and above all, build the brands. Startups are often strapped for cash, crunched for time, and slammed with responsibilities. Therefore, they need a particular kind of branding power.
Đã qua rồi cái thời mà chúng ta tạo ra một cái sản phẩm tốt và để nó hữu xạ tự nhiên hương, và bây giờ là chúng ta là cái thời đại của rất nhiều thông tin bị lẫn lộn với nhau, nên là ai mà có thể tạo ra sự khác biệt và có thể đem cái giá trị thương hiệu đấy đến với tất cả mọi người được nhiều hơn, thì như vậy là cái tầm quan trọng của branding ở startup rất là to lớn.
thi thoảng chúng ta sẽ bắt gặp được những cái quảng cáo mà người ta không nói thẳng đến cái sản phẩm, mà thay vào đó là người ta có những cái đoạn clip đánh mạnh vào tâm lý của người tiêu dùng, và sau đó để lại một ấn tượng rất là sâu sắc, và cuối cùng thì cái sản phẩm người ta muốn nói đến mới xuất hiện.
In the end, the purpose of a branding strategy is to develop a sense of preference within the target customer segment.
Branding is an important but often overlooked factor in boosting the reputation of startups in Vietnam. Minh Nhật and Huy, how much have you focused on building the brands of your startups?
So we're trying to maintain the brand that is friendly and to people, especially, for example, in social media, we have Facebook and Instagram, and people know about us through a character called Fat Cat, and that Fat Cat's always willing to listen to people, answers the questions, and also points them where the good food is and point them where the good drink and cafe places. Sometimes we also engage our partners to organize campaigns for people. So when the user participate in our campaigns, they can have an opportunity to play with our app and get a deeper understanding of how our products work and whether that is the good products or not. Then they will feedback to us. Minh Nhật also our partners in some of the...
Sure. Startup helps each other a lot. Together we grow. And this is a win-win relationship, right? We are in a relationship.
No benefit. No.
It's a win-win relationship with another startups. And L.O.V.E has happened to be one of the very good way to attract the customer and to build up our brand. Because Bánh mì Minh Nhật start with the very first way that the brand is me, myself. Along the way, I find out that it is not the only way. The customer cares about the master chef, but they cares about the good product.
That I know that besides Hatch, you are also running a boutique marketing firm with a strong focus on branding. Yes. Do you think that Vietnamese startups have paid enough attention to branding?
I don't think Vietnamese companies in general pay enough attention to branding. Most people don't understand branding. Most people think of branding as advertising and marketing campaigns and, like Facebook, social media. But branding goes much deeper into that. When you go to the customer and whether the customers understand who you are, that is branding. And, the experience of the customer, I think Nhật would be able to enlighten it with us.
The brand is almost everything. Yeah. We are learning day by day. To see the customer inside, what do they want, what do they need, and what do we have, what is our core values.
I do have to add something. We are own startups, and by startup, our nature is to change. When I first started Hatch, I have, a different concept of what it would be. But then as, we grow the organization, we learn and we study and we, we adapt. So there has to be some flexibility in our brand so that it can grow with it can change.
To me, I think that the core values of every company is the product. Because the branding is like show to the public everything, but the social media and every channel just only take the customer to you one time only. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if the product is not good, they just go away and you never take them back.
Many people compare startups with seeds. Therefore, startups should receive support from startup incubators as well as investors. However, the relationship between startups and investors should be reviewed.
Tất cả những hoạt động đầu tư vào các startup là hoạt động tìm kiếm lợi nhuận cả. Chẳng có ai hỗ trợ ai, chúng ta nhớ một điều như vậy. Cho đây là hai bên đều có lợi.
Therefore, to persuade investors, startups need to prove their return of investment through practical and feasible figures.
Với những cái cách đi như thế thì chúng ta cũng cần phải tỉnh táo hơn, cần phải hiểu rõ cái giá trị cốt lõi của những cái ý tưởng đấy và am hiểu những cái đặc thù riêng của cái thị trường mà chúng ta định nhân bản cái ý tưởng đó, và quan trọng hơn nữa là chúng ta phải tạo ra một cái chất riêng, những cái điểm khác biệt riêng và bền vững.
In case of failures, startup entrepreneurs face the failure of their idea. However, for investors, they are the one to lose money. And for Nam, money for a company is like blood for a body.
mất tiền của người khác thì nó dễ dẫn đến mất cái niềm tin của người đấy. Đấy, vào mình thì làm thế nào để mất tiền nhưng vẫn không mất niềm tin. Là cái thái độ làm việc nó rất là quan trọng. Thực ra là mất máu thì ai cũng sẽ phải gặp rồi. Thế nhưng người ta sẽ hỏi là mất cái đấy thì ông đã làm được cái gì?
According to an official statistic, 9 out of every 10 startups fail. However, as outsiders, we hardly hear of any failures, or rather, we tend to pay more attention to startups winning these investments or gaining these number of users or customers. I'm curious about how insiders like you guys, those within the community, view failure. How comfortable are you discussing your failures with other people?
To us, failure actually is a learning process. A couple of startups in Vietnam, they failed and they built it again, they failed, they built it again. And now they have a sustainable company right now. That reminds me of a quote from the CEO of Google, Sundar. You should wear your failure as a badge of honor. I'm comfortable to share about my failures. How about you?
How about you?
I remember somebody said that you have to fail 9 times to success 1 time. From the very first start, I invested in the first store is like triple times of the money than other store, because it's the first store. I know nothing. So I build something and I see that it doesn't fit. I put it out and build another thing. So it takes me around like a month to complete the new store and to invest on the machine. The table and the L.O.V.E today you see, it has been filled like 5 or 7 times already. I do it wrong way. I just put it back and invest on a new one and change all along the way, because in F&B we have to change to make the combination of the stuff for them to move from this apartment to another part easier. So it is very easy for me now. In a month I can open 3 or 4. If I have enough money, I can open 10.
So what do you think about the roles of startups in an economy like Vietnam?
The beauty of startup is that it's so flexible. Big organizations, like they're very slow. It's very difficult to change. It's very difficult to, like implement anything, because it's the whole organization is so big. It's starting to get, like slower. While startup is like, it's so easy to do anything, like try and you can test, you can do things that, a big company can't do.
Currently, we have 20 people in Hanoi and about 30 people in Ho Chi Minh City. So basically, we provide job opportunities for students, for young people who like to join and want to build the company. Big companies, getting a big company can be really challenging. They have multiple rounds, they have high standards. But for us, startups, sometimes we lower our standard a little bit so people can feel comfortable that this is the environment where they can grow and experience. Another thing is startups like us can give an opportunities for people to build different skills. In a company like an MNC or something, you are going to put in the functions and you are going to operate in that function. But in startup, the process might not be established. The structure is not there. You have to build, you have to multitask. You have to deal with a lot of challenges that you never faced before or you never imagined that it exists before.
So far we have discussed your achievements and your failures, and I would like to hear about your plans and hopes for your startups in this coming year. Let's start with that.
For us, we trying a lot to become probably #1 startup incubator here in Vietnam. So we focus on 3 main activities. The first one is, of course, ecosystem building, community building. We want to reach more startups. And then we focus a little bit more on our incubation program, where we want to incubate about 100 companies in the next 3 to 5 years. We want to actually get them into, like a process of commercializations. And we want to actually invest into those companies along with our co-investors that we're working together.
For myself, I think for the own Bánh Mì Minh Nhật only. So in 2016, we target to reach 30 outlets in the whole Vietnam. In this year, I'm hoping to start another new concept of the restaurant, the dine-in type. It's not the restaurant that sells everything. The restaurant that only specify in one type of product. Only one restaurant that sells only one product is always better than the restaurant that's selling like 10 or 20 or 45 type of product. So this is the way that we will go.
How about L.O.V.E?
Besides Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City, we'll expand to other provinces that we think there is potential for our products to grow and really valuable to the users over there. And the second thing that we want to invest in our partners, well, like Minh Nhật, we already have the partnership, but we want to go deeper than that. And how deep we have to discuss. And maybe we'll talk to Hesh later when we have some ideas that we can work together as well.
Well, best of luck to your future endeavors and plans for yourself and your startups in this coming year. And thank you very much for spending your time with us in our special edition of Beastline today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have just listened to the plans for the Year of the Monkey of Hatch, L.O.V.E, and Bánh Mì Minh Nhật, three prominent Vietnamese young startups. How about you? What do you want to achieve in the coming year? Starting up a new business, finding a new job, or getting promoted? Whatever it is, we hope you best of luck and happiness throughout the year. Thank you very much for watching. As always, you can catch our show again at vtv4.vn or youtube.com/vtv4go. And from our team here in Hanoi, until next time.